So let's begin with getting in insights from Anita George, a distinguished business executive known for her investments in sustainable infrastructure around the world, especially on access to clean water and energy. Anita has also held leadership roles at the World Bank Group and IFC, and more recently at CDPQ, which is Canada's second largest pension plan. She also sits on boards of several organizations across the world, including an advisory position at Spowdi. And earlier at COP, we caught up with her, and I began by asking her the question, food and climate are high on the agenda, and perhaps it's time to put and change our perspectives about smallholder farmers who produce 1/3 of our global food. I asked her, do we need to see them as entrepreneurs and impact generators who can actually help us all achieve a resilient food production system? Let's hear.
Absolutely. I would say that that is exactly what we should be doing, to see smallholder farmers as business people who are able to then make the food production, which they know the best, and the farming practices more resilient and more able to adapt to climate change. What we've seen over the several recent years is because of the extreme weather conditions caused by climate change that farmers have to adapt very often, very quickly, and that really it becomes critical in terms of being able to address the pressures of climate on the agricultural and food production.
Well, the innovation is available for smallholder farmers to grow more food in a more resilient and sustainable manner. But smallholder farmers also lack financial resources. How can this gap be bridged, and how do we de-risk adaptation of innovation? That was my second question to her.
So I think Spowdi is a great example of innovation for smallholder farmers because it provides energy and water efficient product which is modular and mobile and can address the needs of really smallholder farmers where you don't need the large industrial scale machinery, etc. And that's a great innovation. I think another aspect is the aspect of data, which now the Spowdi pumps are able to collect data in terms of usage, in terms of energy efficiency, water efficiency. And this is useful not just for knowing how the pump performs, but also for the farmer. It's very valuable data. And over time, as you can collect such data, it makes you able to predict and be more analytical, which in turn makes you more resilient because you can know beforehand what to expect in terms of trends and performance of the farm production. So it's key to have this innovation. The challenge really is that smallholder farmers are disaggregated. So they are small consumers, and for any company to be able to have an impact and have scale, they need to have an aggregation platform. And I think the model that Spowdi is experimenting with getting NGOs or intermediaries who can provide that aggregation platform and therefore make it easier for both food purchasers as well as financiers to be able to finance at scale, and that becomes more and more viable from a banking and finance point of view.
And I put a follow-up question asking, what will it take for impact enablers, especially financing and governance organizations, to take bold bets to future-proof food production? Let's hear what she has to say.
So I think it's critical that one has to address at the grassroots level what could make food production more resilient. And you have to work all the way backwards in terms of the supply chain. And by doing that, you actually build in resilience to the entire food production system. However, this is easier said than done, and this is where I think finance needs to be more innovative and take aggregated risk of smallholder farmers. This can also be done by having structures like a first loss type of approach or a contractual agreement with off-takers of production of farm products, which will then make it easier for financiers to be able to take that risk. However, I think one of the misperceptions has been that farmers would tend to be too vulnerable to the climate change impacts, weather impacts, and here innovative products like insurance, crop insurance, etc., becomes very critical. So it has to be a holistic package approach, and we are seeing more and more models of such financing which offer multiple products tailor-made to suit the needs of the smallholder farmers. And this goes a long way in terms of building in both resilience, ability to respond quickly, agility, and innovation. So I hope that in the work that Spowdi is doing, we will see financiers being able to come and use that aggregation platform that you're building across the globe in different markets, and that could become a role model for other financing models across smallholder farmers.
Well, indeed, and well summarized, but very quick takeaways from this COP, and that was my final question to Anita before she left from here.
So I think the good news is that the COP has recognized the big areas which really need support, and resilience of the food production is a very big one. And you've just heard billions of dollars being committed. The number was around 30 billion from the COP itself for increasing resilience and the ability to adapt to climate change as much as to mitigate the impacts of climate change. I think the challenge is, how do you take these big numbers from big institutions and actually create models that can reach the smallholder farmer, the small field agent, the smaller financiers. And this has really been an implementation challenge, and we need to therefore come up with models which can help us innovate, think creatively, provide risk mitigation, so that these large numbers that we are hearing about at COP can actually reach the impact creators and the beneficiaries who we need to empower through these type of financing schemes. Thank you.
Well, Anita George there joining us and sharing her valuable insights from COP28. And